It's your Mental Health Matters with Johanse IODK. He joins me on the Zoom line, behavioral change specialist. And Johanse, we touch on one that could pull at the heartstrings this morning. A very simple question, but it is quite intricate in its depth, its scope, and its way that I would imagine those looking on are able to relate to this based on their experience. So the question is, do all parents love their children? We would assume yes, but I'm sure I'm thinking here, based on the question itself, it's going to create a nice discussion this morning, Johanse. Great to see you as always. Good morning.
Morning, Jason. Morning to all the viewers. Well, I started asking this question when dealing with parents and families or with custody cases, and some of the behavior of the parents didn't reflect well to the children. And at first I used to be confused. So I started asking many parents, well, not if they love the children, but even why did you have children? And many of the reasons kind of surprised me. The number one reason was that it was time, right? The second reason was that it was wasn't planned, right? And it helped me realize that based on the reason parents had children is the way that they would treat the children. And then working with parents with postpartum depression, some of these things that they said made me wonder, you know what, I just used to universally think in my naivety that, you know, most parents, 99% of parents really love their children, but then I started questioning your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real issue because I'm glad you took it back to conception, to when the child, in terms of that moment that the child was conceived, because if indeed, let's say, the couple, they're not in a place of extreme love and adoration. They're not going through the honeymoon stage, as we say, and it was, let's say, unplanned, or some people might even say a mistake, even though I do ever think it's a mistake, right? Two adults, you know what you're doing, bam, it come and happen, so there's no real connection there. Child comes out of that. There might be one or two parties who might just be like, oh, this child is a constant reminder of this particular misjudgment, as it were. And, you know, they treat the child in a certain way. I sometimes wonder if that could be, if we go back to the original source, if that sometimes could be a scenario.
Yes, I believe so, because of human behavior is thought into feeling, into action. So whatever going on here is always be expressed. So even though I hear many parents say, you know, well, I still love my child, you know, or, you know, well, I didn't really plan it, but I still love him or her. The child feels it, because I've had therapy with someone who was 40 years old, and I remember part of the issue they had with their mother is they remember feeling rejection as an infant. They can't remember the exact age, but they can remember the energy of rejection. And I never forgot that, because it's really important for all parents to be honest about even how they feel about their children. I'm not saying to tell a child, hey, you know, it was a mistake. But at the same time, for you, even you and the other parent, to really be honest about this is how we feel about children. And then when you have more than one child, you may feel differently about each child.
Well, that's a whole different conversation there, because I was not going to come to that. What about parents? Again, let's say the children, a matter of fact, came into a circle of love, a structured household. I sometimes wonder if parents have favorites. If indeed, sometimes they might say the firstborn, they say the last child, sometimes they always say the last child gets away with everything. The first child is like the test. So the first child, it will be tough on the first. By the time the second child comes around third, let's say by the fourth, well, the parents throw up their hands. The fourth child gets away with murder. Last child, we've always heard of the last child being the spoiled one, and sometimes the first or the one in between. Well, don't talk for if you're in between. They say, well, children in between feel a kind of squeeze. So many people relate to this on different levels. What's been your experience? And again, you know, just listening to stories and giving advice over the years, what's been your observation?
Now, I have some research on this, and I'll just summarize it. Let's say it's about three or more children. The first child is always have the hardest. The middle child is be somewhere in between, not really getting the full attention, but not really being babied either. So they have to kind of find their way, and then the last child is be the baby. Now, what you say there is a good example of even understanding human dynamics, and again, parents being aware of their own self. And then also, whether it is male or female, or even, and this might sound a little bad, how the child look, if it resembles the father more, the mother more, might depend on even how the parents treat them. Now, I say this because we always come back to the core of truth. And when we're talking about your mental health, sometimes when you pretend some things, it don't ever work out the way you want it. And again, the child is feeling it. Children feel what is going on. So it's better you be honest with yourself and honest with them about how you really feel about them. Again, I ain't saying to bad talk your child or this say child, but be honest about it.
Is it wrong for a parent to, let's say, because we go back to this original question, do all parents love their children? You always talk about honesty. That's a common theme in everything you speak about, every time we touch base on a Thursday, and even when we talk in person. If you sit and you're honest with yourself and you say, you know what, boy, I mean, it's hard to even say it, but you tell yourself, you know what, boy, this child is the child, we don't have anything in common. We got the same personality. This child, where does child come from? Could a parent really feel that way towards their child? Just be like, oh. And if a parent feels that way, if a parent feels that way this morning, what should they do to reconnect with their child?
Glad you bring that up. Let me tell you what I've experienced. When a parent faces that truth about a child they're not connecting with, it's only when the truth come out they realize they could connect with the child. They release all the preconceived notions, all the things, the thing they're supposed to think they're supposed to do, and they release that. And then they're now able to see the child as they are, not how they want them to be, or not how they think they should look at a child. And I've been witness, and we've even been there to witness many of that transformation. Mediation sessions between parents and children, they actually start telling the truth to each other and realize, wait now, I didn't really give you a chance. I didn't really know who you are, but now I'm getting to understand that, and they always have something to reconnect or connect with.
Wow, you know what you said is so powerful, huh? Because there are parents who sometimes they want to live vicariously through the child, you know, and the child is not going down a particular road. The child is almost like a disappointment. And you're saying to yourself, but what's this? Like it probably get too easy, or some parents are sometimes so hard on the child that the child totally rebels and will pull away from whatever they're trying to bring to the child now. Because the parent, again, with the vision, with the knowledge, with the experience, with the third eye, would believe that, hey, I hear longer than you, I know better, I know what's best for you. But you're not listening, you don't want to take it in. I'm not on you. And, you know, that itself could have a serious struggle in the household where people sometimes suffer for years.
What the bond, and I'm saying bond, not even love yet, but the bond between a parent and a child is one of the most powerful things in youth. Even in my work with children who in orphanages and in homes, even though some of them don't know the parent, the love that they want or even feel for that parent is an amazing thing. And I say that because not to discredit it, and we know it have no rule book for being a parent. So even trying to be perfect sometimes as a parent would court or breed discontention with the child or breed disingenuity versus just being your flawed self, being your imperfect self. The child imperfect, you imperfect, but both all are moving in truth together.
Let me ask you, what advice you give to parents who they recognize they have a child that's gifted, the child is extra talented. There is some, like this child, whether it be via music, academics, sports, we recognize at an early age, at the age of 3, 4, that this child brave, this child, wow, this child different, okay. This child is a prodigy. How does a parent now, because again, you don't want to become like a fan or you still have to be a parent. So there's a balancing act that must be done in that scenario. How does the parent approach love when a child is extremely gifted? Everyone around you recognize this child is going places. How do we approach that scenario?
Remember that they are still a child. So even though they are gifted, remember, allow them to develop like a child. And I would say one of the main things is leave them to have fun. So even though, like, let's use your scenario, they're gifted in an instrument. You don't have to force them to go. You don't have to make it unpleasant for them, because what they're gifted in is their natural talent and ability, and it's something that they will have fun in. Because if you force them into it, if you make it too rigid, they will come to resent the very thing that they're talented in. So not to say just let them do whatever they want and not cultivate discipline, but still give them the parameters to have fun and still be a child.
I'll give you a chance to put any closing remarks you want to say as per usual.
As always, we talk about honesty in various realms. And when we hold things back and not express ourselves, this could degrade our mental health. And as parents, we should be honest with our children and honest with ourselves. So don't make life complicated. Even though life is not easy, it's really not that hard. Thank you for listening.
Hey, you're welcome as always. Thanks for the advice. Interesting one. This is one that we could even do a part two. This is, I mean, I could talk all morning on this because it's such a powerful topic. Do our parents love their children? Thank you, Yohanse. We will touch base soon.
Right, Jason. Later.
We take a quick one. We come back again. The segments, all the different elements that make the show extra special. We're going to get into that and a little more details concerning the Spice Mass experience around the corner. See you soon.